Before you install the chip conveyor into your coolant tank, go to Tormach.com and click on the support dropdown. Navigate to mill support and then in the 1500MX section, select the documents. From there, you can download the 1500MX operator manual. The instructions for the chip conveyor install will be in the accessories installation section. Read all of those instructions, including all the warnings and cautions and the electrical requirements, before you start your installation. The tools needed for this installation include a hammer, a flat-bladed screwdriver, leather gloves, a cutter, an engine hoist, a nylon webbed lifting strap capable of lifting at least 1,000 pounds, a secondary lifting strap, a metric hex wrench set, channel locks, wire snips, and zip ties. Before your chip conveyor arrives, you must make sure that the conveyor has a separate 220-volt, 20-amp electrical service. Once you receive the 1500MX crate, you will have to disassemble it. The lid of the crate has tabs along each side that you have to pry up with the flat blade screwdriver. Then hammer the tabs upwards so that they can slip through the notches. Go around the lid and straighten out all the other tabs. 2 people are needed to lift the lid off. Remember to wear leather gloves when lifting the lid, as the edges are sharp. Straighten out all the other side tabs, and then knock down the side panels. Remove the bubble wrap and plastic wrap by cutting it away with a cutter. Be careful not to cut the surface of the chip conveyor. While the conveyor is on its side, use the 5mm hex wrench to install the 2 casters with the M6 butt head cap screws. Once they are on, lock the casters in place by pulling the lever down by hand. The next step is to lift the chip conveyor up, and if these casters aren't locked in place, the conveyor could slide out from under you. Though the conveyor is heavy, we found it easy for 2 people to tilt it up. If you have a back or heart issue, you may want to find someone else to do this. We recommend pulling the side panel near the bottom of the caster away, and not lifting onto the pallet as we did here. It would be better to lift it onto the solid cement surface. If needed, swing out the chip conveyor from the front end, while your coworker holds onto the top to keep it steady. Prepare the coolant tank. The coolant tank needs to be removed from the crate and rolled into place. We have an installation video above on how to do that. When the coolant tank is already installed behind the mill, you won't be able to get an engine hoist back here. So what you need to do is you need to clean all the chips out of the baskets, remove the baskets, disconnect all the cables and hoses. We recommend draining your tank before you move it. Then, on the previously used or new coolant tank, you need to remove the 2 panels on either end with a 3mm wrench. Make sure you set the screws aside, as you'll reuse them later. There's a chance you may have an oil skimmer on the larger of the 2 panels you just removed. Once you install the chip conveyor, you'll install a larger panel, which will have a knockout that you can relocate the oil skimmer to. Power off the machine and the PathPilot controller. From the PathPilot interface, select Exit. Push in the machine's emergency stop button. Turn the main disconnect switch to off. Lift and install the chip conveyor. Secure the heavy-duty lifting strap to each eye bolt on either side of the upper section of the chip conveyor. Don't use a chain, as that could damage the control box. Attach another set of lifting straps to the eye bolts on the lower section of the chip conveyor. Position the engine hoist behind the chip conveyor. Attach the front lifting strap to the lifting hook on the engine hoist. Replace some of the bubble wrap underneath the tip of the lower section so that it wouldn't scratch the floor. Slowly raise the engine hoist so that the front leg is about 10 inches off the ground. If the chip conveyor starts to tip, lower it back down and rebalance and re-secure the strap. Have your coworker lift the lower section up using the other strap and then roll the coolant tank into position. Slowly lower the engine hoist while the other coworker guides the conveyor into the front of the tank. Keep lowering until the rear of the conveyor is secure in the tank. Remove the straps. Find the 3 cover panels in the conveyor kit. Start by installing the thin panel along the side of the tank with the curved flange facing in towards the conveyor. Secure with the M5 button head cap screws and a 3mm hex wrench. Then install the short panel at the foot of the tank. And finally install the large panel between the conveyor and the pumps. With the panels in place, unlock the wheels on the conveyor and roll the tank behind the mill. Reconnect the coolant pump power cables back into the side of the electrical box. Then reconnect the coolant hoses for the flood coolant pump, and if installed, the washdown coolant pump and the high pressure through spindle coolant hoses. Identify the control cable for the chip conveyor. Connect one end to the control port on the chip conveyor's control box. Route the loose end of the control cable to the bottom of the machine's electrical cabinet. We routed this cable underneath the mill and connected to the accessory output port 1. Connect the chip conveyor's power cable to the 220 VAC wall outlet. Once these cables and hoses are installed, make sure you secure them in place with zip ties and away from any moving parts. Verify the installation. With the machine still powered off, identify the main disconnect switch on the chip conveyor's control box. Turn it to the on position. Twist out the emergency stop button on the chip conveyor. Then turn the speed knob to the halfway position. Press and hold the forward button on the chip conveyor's control box. The chip conveyor will run forward. While holding the forward button, push in the emergency stop button on the chip conveyor. The chip conveyor stops running. Release the forward button and twist out the emergency stop button. Press and hold the reverse button on the chip conveyor control box. The chip conveyor will run backwards. While holding the reverse button, push in the emergency stop button. The chip conveyor will stop running. At any point during the use of the forward or reverse button, you can use the speed knob to make adjustments. The chip conveyor also has a series of M commands that you can implement at the MDI DRO field. The M231 command turns on the chip conveyor. The M233 command turns off the chip conveyor. You can also create an alternating loop with a combination of commands. Typing in M231 will turn it on, while P5 will turn it on for 5 seconds, and Q10 turns it off for 10 seconds. You can adjust the length of time to your needs. Then to implement the command, you must press the Enter key on the keyboard. This on-off cycle will continue until commanded to stop by PathPilot. That's it for the install of the 1500MX's chip conveyor. If you have any questions, you can check out the forums at forums.tormach.com. You can open up a support ticket from the drop-down on tormach.com, or you can contact pre-sales at presales@tormach.com.